welcome to the deep dive. You've brought us a really phenomenal stack of material today, and it crosses boundaries that, well, most people would probably never think to connect.
That's the idea.
We're getting into the dynamics of power, of competition, and desire. And we're pulling lessons from, of all places, Silicon Valley philosophers, evolutionary biologists, and even ancient royalty.
Exactly. The mission here is to track one single concept, and that concept is leverage. We're looking at how power, whether it's commercial or political or even romantic, is built by creating a kind of monopoly.
Monopoly, like the board game.
Well, sort of. We'll show you how this idea, which you usually hear about in, economics class, is actually a hidden key to understanding, well, everything, from how we date to geopolitical strategy.
And the things we've pulled out were genuinely surprising. We've got Peter Thiel's really radical take on why competition is, in his words, for losers.
Then there's the hidden science of how we're biologically wired for commitment.
And maybe the most fascinating part for me, how certain historical women built these incredible personal monopolies on influence in worlds that were, frankly, designed to shut them out.
It's all about strategy and scarcity, and how the highest stakes, money, status, partnership, force us into these surprisingly similar patterns, across thousands of years.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start in Silicon Valley with Peter Thiel. He's controversial, obviously, but also hugely successful. And if we boil his whole philosophy down, the core idea is that competition is for losers.
It sounds like a provocation, and it is, but there's a real insight there. For Thiel, the only way to get true success, whether you're a business or an individual, is to create a monopoly.
Right.
It's called the 0 to 1 innovation.
Yeah.
It's about making something completely new, not just making a small improvement on something that already exists. It's called 1 to N.
Because competition, in his view, just destroys profit. It drives everything towards zero. I mean, you look at a company like Amazon, which the source material uses as an example. They might have started out in a competitive space, but the long-term goal was always to become the platform for retail, the irreplaceable one. Their value is directly tied to how close they get to that monopoly status.
And he puts his money where his mouth is. He has the Thiel Fellowship, which offers students $100,000 to not go to college. He's literally paying them to reject the standardized competitive path.
To get off the 1 to N track.
Exactly, to go hunt for a secret, a 0 to 1 opportunity that everyone else is missing.
But the really mind-blowing part is where this philosophy comes from. It's not just economics. It's rooted in the work of a philosopher named René Girard and his mimetic theory.
That's the master key to all of it. Girard argued that desire is fundamentally imitative, or mimetic. We don't want things for their own sake, we want them because other people want them.
Whoa, hang on. So the whole drive for status, the nice car, the corner office, you're saying it's all just borrowed?
That's the core of the idea, yes. And this creates what Girard called a triangle of desire. You, the object, and the other person, the mediator, who models that desire for you.
And that leads to problems.
Big problems.
Yeah.
Because if we all want the same thing just because everyone else wants it, that imitation inevitably leads to rivalry, to conflict. And Thiel saw this playing out perfectly in tech.
He specifically points to social media, right, as being like doubly dangerous here.
Doubly mimetic is how he puts it. The platform spread mimetically, but then the entire game on the platform is about comparing yourself. Likes, followers, attention. It's the perfect fuel for rivalry, pushing everyone into the same zero-sum game.
So if everyone's stuck in this loop of copying and competing, the way out for Thiel is to find a secret.
Right. He believes these hidden truths exist because most people are what he calls mimetically blinded. They're so busy chasing what the crowd wants that they miss huge opportunities right in front of them. His whole thing is about looking where no one else is.
And this framework gets even bigger. It spirals into how whole society stays stable, which Girard explained with the idea of the scapegoat.
This is a really profound idea about social history. Girard's theory was that the first stable human groups were created not by, say, cooperation, but by collective violence.
How does that work?
Well, when that mimetic rivalry threatened to tear the group apart, all that disruptive energy got channeled away from the rivals and focused onto a single, often arbitrary victim, the scapegoat.
Killing them brought peace.
In a terrible way, yes. It was a 0 to 1 innovation in social control. It unified the group.
And Thiel connects this ancient mechanism directly to modern politics. You look at the whole 99% versus the 1% dynamic as a modern form of scapegoating. It simplifies everything into a clear us versus them.
And what really drives it, according to to Thiel, is stagnation. When there isn't real economic growth, when the pie isn't getting bigger, life becomes zero-sum.
Because the only way I can get ahead is by taking something from you.
Exactly, and that's why politics gets so bitter. The lack of genuine zero-to-one innovation throws society right back into that destructive loop of rivalry and blame. It's a pretty ruthless diagnosis.
It really is. Okay, let's pivot from ruthless business strategy to the strategy of the heart. Does this idea of creating a monopoly actually apply to the dating world?
Absolutely. The application here is what the sources call a personal monopoly. If dating feels like this brutal free-for-all where everyone is competing on looks or money,
Which it often does.
right, the solution is to identify a unique 10 times better trait you have. Maybe it's incredible emotional intelligence or a very specific intellectual connection, something that makes you irreplaceable to the right partner. You basically exit the competitive market by creating your own.
And the research shows people are already doing this even if they don't realize it. I was fascinated by the bit about dating profiles. Men who are looking for a long-term thing display dependence kids, pets, way more often than women do.
It's a strategic display. It's all about signaling commitment and stability. And the data shows the frequency is highest for children, then dogs, and then weaker for other pets like cats.
Why that order?
Because it lines up perfectly with the level of long-term investment required. It's basically an advertisement that says, I am stable and I can provide resources.
And here's where biology comes in as this kind of strategic armor. Commitment itself is actually a biological adaptation. It's designed to keep the partnership going.
Yeah, it's an internal mechanism that favors reproductive success. So when you're in a committed relationship, your brain actively suppresses thoughts of other potential partners. It's not just willpower.
The research separates romantic love from just, sexual desire. And it shows that romantic love leads to greater commitment and actually makes people have a worse memory for how attractive other people are.
So love literally makes you a little bit blind to the competition. It's this profound, involuntary safety switch.
It's a self-protective mechanism. The sources say committed men, when they're exposed to cues that a woman is in her fertile window, which is a moment of risk to the relationship, they will unconsciously devalue her attractiveness.
It's an immediate self-protective instinct, all to maintain the existing bond.
So once that bond is there, how do you maintain it? It seems to come down to communication goals. The sources talk about two different kinds.
Right. You have approach goals, which are focused on the positive, on fun, bonding, creating more intimacy. These are strongly linked to happy, successful relationships.
And the other kind.
Avoidance goals. These are all about preventing negative outcomes, avoiding conflict, avoiding rejection, avoiding disappointment.
So if you're just focused on not having a bad time, you're probably not going to have a great time either.
That's a perfect way to put it. One is additive, the other is just protective. And focusing on avoidance is directly correlated with lower satisfaction in the long run.
This also bleeds into sexual communication. There's promotion-focused communication, which is about getting closer, and then this rarer prevention-focused kind, which involves this agonizing cost-benefit analysis before you say anything.
It sounds exhausting. Constantly weighing every word, thinking the potential cost of saying what you want far outweighs any benefit. It's communication driven by fear, not by connection.
Speaking of destructive dynamics, the sources also get into intermittent reinforcement, this mix of affection and abuse that creates this horribly addictive structure.
It basically weaponizes our natural drive for reward. The victim gets stuck desperately trying to figure out the pattern to control the situation so they can get that consistent reward again. The relationship stops being about respect and just becomes a quest for a fix.
And the antidote to all this destructive stuff seems to be setting clear boundaries. The motto they use is simple: clear as kind.
That phrase is so important because being vague or just hoping someone will read your mind is actually cruel. True kindness is clarity. It requires knowing what you need and then communicating it calmly.
And the nonverbals matter too. Ask for permission to have the talk. Slow down. Use a deeper voice so you don't trigger the other person's defenses. And the best practical tip I saw: no sarcasm, ever.
Never. Sarcasm is, by its nature, ambiguous. And ambiguity is the enemy of a clear, kind boundary.
So we've seen monopolies in business and commitment as a kind of biological leverage. Let's pivot to history and look at two women who created these incredible monopolies on influence in worlds where, power was almost entirely a man's game.
Let's. We start with Cleopatra, and it's so important to remember the bias in the sources. accounts come from Roman authors, writing in a deeply, deeply patriarchal culture. They just couldn't compute a powerful female ruler.
So they framed her entire agency as just seduction and manipulation.
Exactly, they reduced her to her gender. But she was a brilliant and ruthless politician. Her first big political monopoly came when she was driven out of Alexandria by her brother's advisors. Julius Caesar shows up.
And ends up fighting for her. He puts her on the throne, essentially alone.
Her real leverage was Egypt itself. The immense wealth, and more importantly, control of the grain supply that fed Rome. That made her an irreplaceable ally. Her political maneuvering, backed by Caesar's power, gave her a totally uncontested position, a geopolitical monopoly.
And even at the very end, in defeat, she kept a monopoly on her own fate. She chose, as the sources say, a nobler way to die, so she wouldn't be paraded in Octavian's victory march.
By choosing suicide, she denied him the ultimate political leverage. She refused to be a spectacle.
Okay, now let's jump forward 16 centuries to Ninon de l'Enclos, a 17th century French icon who built her monopoly not on armies, but on intellectual capital.
And social access. She created a true personal monopoly by hosting this vibrant, exclusive salon. It was the absolute epicenter of Parisian philosophy and wit.
She attracted all the heavy hitters, Molière, Voltaire.
All of them. Her intellectual agency was her niche. Her salon was the place to be, and that access gave her direct political and financial leverage, even with no formal title. She basically monetized her own intellect and charm.
She was seen as an early feminist figure, too, just for how she lived. She had this very naturalistic view on love that it was an instinct, not something to be controlled by reason, which justified her libertine lifestyle.
And her appeal lasted. I mean, she was inspiring serious passion at 60, even at 79. It really speaks to the power of an intellectual monopoly over, just fleeting beauty.
But the sources point out this incredibly tragic irony in her life. She had a son who grew up not knowing who his mother was. He ended up falling desperately in love with her.
And when she finally revealed her identity to him, to try and stop it all, he killed himself.
It's just devastating. A reminder that even the most strategic life, built on secrets and leverage, can be destroyed by that same mimetic force of desire that Gerard talked about.
An uncontrollable force.
What a journey. We've seen Thiel argue for strategic monopolies built on secrets. We've seen the evolutionary mechanics that enforce commitment. And we've explored historical figures like Cleopatra and Ninon de l'Enclos carving out these irreplaceable positions for themselves.
And the final synthesis here is a really powerful contrast. On one hand, you have Thiel and the historical figures. Their success came from a competitive model, creating unique value to avoid competition and gain an absolute advantage.
But then you look at the modern science of romantic satisfaction, and it points to a completely different path.
A totally different path. True satisfaction in a relationship seems to come not from competition or scarcity, but from collaboration. From consciously choosing to exit that competitive game and focus on mutual goals, on intimacy.
So we've basically seen two competing models of leverage. One built on exclusion and secrets, and the other built on inclusion and clarity.
Which leaves a really important question for you listening to this, trying to navigate this world. If Peter Thiel says you should use 0-to-1 strategies to gain an absolute advantage in your work and your ideas.
And relationship science suggests that true happiness comes from dropping the competitive game entirely. Where should you apply that drive for a strategic monopoly?
Should you focus it on your career, your ideas, making your professional value irreplaceable?
Or should you strive to make your relationships the one place where you consciously choose cooperation and collaboration over any and all forms of competition? Something to think about.